collaboration, in my opinion. So our first speaker is Suzanne Lund. So Suzanne is a landscape researcher and architect with a focus on design and strategies for green, healthy cities, historical landscape and water system. She is the founder of Lila Living Landscape and lecturer at the TU Delft Department of Landscape Architecture. She is a member of Committee for Special Quality and Heritage in the municipality of Krimpenvorst. In 2015, she conducted a research into the peri-urban industrial campings in Indonesia. Recently, she initiated the research here by design project 30 Cities, which she will present today. Together with Professor Inge Bobic, she initiated the project Circular Water Stories in collaboration with the National Heritage Agency. So please welcome Suzanne. So do you want to sit or to stand? Yeah.
So, thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you for inviting me to share something about my research. Thirsty Cities, shared water heritage for a resilient future in delta cities of small island states. First, I had a personal introduction, so I will skip that. First, I will tell something about the birth of the Thirsty Cities research. It's actually next step after a research that was called the Festival Village Bandung project. And then I will tell something about the objective and how I'm approaching it, because it's a work in progress, of course. So yeah, the bulk of my work is actually doing value assessment for historical landscapes, mainly in the Netherlands. And I work around 1 day a week here at the landscape department, and I teach heritage and design and circular water stories. And with Inge Bobic, we make the booklet Water and Science. And we recently also initiated another project, so maybe you will hear something about that, Circular Water Stories. It's about more putting the focus on the people than the landscape. So it's more a hydrographical landscape diagram with the emphasis on water people, water workers. So yeah, we've got support for that. So yeah, how it started. In 2015, I collaborated with Mo Smith. She is a coordinator of architecture engineering master studio, and she saw the collapse of Rana Plaza. You all know that in Bangladesh, the factory where our fashion is made. And she was thinking, okay, so the factories are bad, but where are these people actually living? As an architect, how are they housed? And it's a very interesting question also because a lot of the multinationals that produce our clothing, they are one of the biggest ones. I don't know if you know CNA. I think they're a bit now, now with other fashion stores at H&M, they're maybe a bit more low-key, but CNA was a very big fashion company. It's a Dutch company, and they are producing a lot in developing economies. And she was asking also from a historical perspective, because we have the tradition of the social housing that also started with factories creating housing for their workers. So that is, some people say it's kind of the seed where the social housing movement started in the Netherlands. So she was interested in that, and we came to talk. And I said, well, yeah, I'm also interested in their housing, but also in their living environment. Like, what is the quality of their living environment? And then we, via all kind of roads, we ended up in in Bandung because there CNA produces their clothes, and I was laughing a bit because you said industrial camping, but that's where you put your tent pitch. But yeah, maybe there are industrial campings, but here it's about the industrial kampung, and that is the unplanned unplanned factory towns, and most of the time they are polluted, but that's not the definition that polluted is. But because it's a mixture of industries, intensive industries, and housing, and it's also organically growing. And well, actually, you're looking at the last. This is Chigondoa kampung, and there is a factory that produces a lot of the clothing of CNA. So it was very interesting for us, a bit of a activistic design approach that we also were calling CNA. Like, what are you doing there, and how do you approach your things? And our and what I actually and it was interesting to me as a landscape researcher and a designer, that I also discovered that I also have a blind spot for something that is so obvious, that the water demand for industries around cities is so huge, and also the pollution, of course, of the surface water is so huge that groundwater abstraction is the main source, and it's also, yeah, is it illegal? Is it legal? It's a bit of a diffuse thing. But it's interesting because maybe people from Indonesia, they know it, but Citarum, Chi means water in Sunda, and Tarum is actually indigo, so that's the color of your, where you paint your jeans with, the blue color. So Citarum, so that means that it's the river of the Indigo River, and that means that it goes a long way back, that there's, for centuries and centuries, there is a textile production there. But first they used, it's on a higher altitude, so river streams are coming from the mountains, so there's a lot of fresh water coming into the city, but it's all, so that was, of course, first a very good source for the textile industries, but now it has become a very polluted area, so they cannot use their surface water anymore for processing of the clothing. Now, and here you see some things that, because in the Netherlands we know land subsidence because we've created our own problems with making polders. So we slowly go down 1 centimeter a year in the western part of the Netherlands. So we know that's a problem, also because we are draining our polders. But here the water is with even more volume is taken out of the ground, and you see that in textile districts there's sometimes 22 centimeter land subsidence a year. So that's really huge. It's almost like there's earthquakes going on, and it also has to do with soil, volcanic soil. It seems like it almost has the same things like peat, that it goes very well. So, and here you see the increase of groundwater extraction, and here you see that it was first imbalanced, and now because they're also from the lower layer, the shallow layer, and the deep aquifer, taking water out, and you see here declining groundwater tables in Chimanhi is also a very big. What's nice about positive thing about industrial companies is that everything is combined. So we have, of course, in the Netherlands and in Europe, the post-war planning tradition that everything was separated. So industrial area here, living here, schools there. So everything was very separated, and then also you get the dead new towns. Well, these towns are not dead at all. They're very much alive, very vibrant. And there's no, there is of course traffic, but because people live and work, you could imagine that if you, on a scale as Indonesia, you would divided, it would be a negative impact for transport. So it is a positive thing. I think there's pros and cons for everything, but I think if you start here and try to find a solution there. So, well, it was a very long project. We worked together with ITB Bandung, Creative City Forum of Bandung, students of the ITB. They went into the campus also trying to understand. That was my goal, to understand how is this water system working actually. And the thing is that actually the factory is the water plant for many of the people, because they are so far, they're in the peri-urban context, they're so far from the center that from the central water treatment is not reaching that. And I think also what we all know, we don't want to make central systems anymore. We need to go to off-the-grid, resilient, kind of self-sustaining system. So in a way they are self-sustaining in the way that they are, that the factories are actually, people can buy their water there, or sometimes they get water there, and people also have their own water wells. They drill their own wells, and the factories of course have more money, so they can go deeper. So that was actually our way to see, like maybe you could see the textile factories also as a kind of water plant, that is, because they have all the things there to purify water. So in a nutshell, that is a bit what we did there. If you want to know more about it, I can give you some more information. The nice thing about the project is that people are now just doing their thing there. Oh, I took what? Okay. Well, now, yes. So from that I thought I need to do something with the Thirsty Cities project. I did a. Where is it? Yeah. I have a typomorphological approach to see, and I focus now for this stage on small island states. Yeah, so the typomorphological approach to look at the shape, the scale, but also the relation to the water cycle. And that is not so much done in a typomorphological research. And the hydrobiographical approach, so the authors of who are the authors of the water system that we're looking at in the small island states. Shared heritage is because I'm from the Netherlands, but I also have my roots in Indonesia, and so I was interested about how this water system has an influence on each other. Yeah, so you can follow my vlogs on the research. This just came out, the first part of the research on Dutch Delta cities. Very interesting system there I found. Okay, these were the lessons. Polycentrics, very interesting. The relation between ecology and economy, but that was clear also from Indonesia. But also that there's a lot of public and private initiative, because this is a 18th century initiative by beer brewers to create a rainwater harvesting system in Amsterdam. Yeah, this is the last minute. Why did I choose small island states? We have the Dutch Caribbean. Those are small island states. Now, SDG 9, 11, 13, you can look them up. But they're very prone to water insecurity. They're all surrounded by saline conditions. They're extremely vulnerable to natural disaster and climate change. And there's a new way they have to reconnect to their hydroecology with their new economy, mainly tourism, but also industries. This is very interesting. These were what I'm looking at as my sources. Are the Verbata Jonkheer maps, and they're made by an Indonesian or a Dutch-Indonesian person who was born in Indonesia, but he had a commission to draw the maps of, and he is called Verbata, the maps of first maps of the Dutch Caribbean. And this is of Curaçao, and it's really interesting if you give a very detailed insight in the freshwater supply of the islands. And that is, because they're small islands, you can show a lot of details. And here you see a kind of a system that they make. These are the brooks, and he also says dry bedding in the rainy season. So he already refers to seasonal cycle. These are man-made rainwater harvesting, natural rainwater harvesting, windmill rain wells, and dams to collect water. So in here he also says, is it here? And in another legend, so of course he made them years after each other, they refer to tankies, and I think it's very interesting because in India they're also called tanks. I need to know, maybe someone knows. So this is what I'm in the stage where I'm now, seeing what kind of typologies there were. What's very clear if you look at it from a hydrobiographical side, that the deforestation of the ABC, because we have the Bovenwindse and the Benedenwindse islands, so the ABC islands are very arid, and the others are more tropical, the northern, so that is the S islands, Saba, Sint Maarten, Sint Eustatius, and the ABC are Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao. But because there was a large clearing of lands because of the export of Brazilwood by the Dutch, and that's also a dye for fabric, but it's a red. So textile industry has been very exploitive and has a negative impact on the water cycle, because the groundwater was difficult to recover if you have no green cover, and also the water the raining pattern of course changed. And the last wave of large-scale land clearing in the island took place around the 20th century for aloe vera and sisal cultivation. Well, here you see very clearly that you have these rooien, that these are brooks. So for the rainy season, they will be full of water, and they all make these dams. And I read also a report from someone who was visiting the island during that time, that there were weeks and weeks that these areas that were surrounded by these dams, there were stone and earthen dams, that they were covered with water. So, and we cannot imagine that because they are now so arid that we think, really? Covered with water on the Aruba, on the Benedenwindse Eilanden? So, and here you see that they made, on the end of a brook system, or this rooien, they also made these man-made rainwater harvesting elements, and then they would infiltrate. Oh, stop. Okay, so here you see the different rainwater harvesting. The last thing I will say is that it's also very interesting that the first desalination plants were built in the Dutch Caribbean, because it's very energy intensive and they had an oil boom. So this is also water heritage in the industrial phase. And there's actually very near to the transition that the Dutch were a bit retreating out of this area. But this is actually the early industrial water heritage. Yes, that was it. And this is something to think about. I had to translate it, but this farmer says, the last farmer in Sint Eustatia, if I had water, 25 hectares of land, I could feed whole Eustatius and Saba and Bonaire, but I need water reservoirs. And they actually have a very strong tradition hidden tradition of water, underground water reservoirs. So that was mine. Now I really stop.
Thank you, Suzanne. Great insights on